Today I'm talking about my quite large to be read list. So I set myself quite an ambitious reading challenge this year over on Goodreads. My challenge is to read 75 books. The challenge I set myself in 2018 was 50 books, and I managed to do 52 with sort of a good 4 or 5 months of not reading anything at all. So I thought I'd set myself a little higher challenge this year just to see if I could do it. So to get me in the mood for that, I thought I would talk about a small proportion of my to be read list. I'm currently about halfway through the Lemony Snicket series. That's the series of unfortunate events. I've been watching the TV show on Netflix, so I sort of rekindled my passion for the books. So I'm on, I think, I'm almost finished book 5 and about to move on to book 6. So once I've finished those, I'll move on to this huge pile of books. So first up is Howl's Moving Castle. This book is written by Diana Wynne Jones, and if you don't already know, there is a Studio Ghibli film of the same name that is based on this book. This, I think, is a series of books. I think there are 3 in the series. I've got all 3, and I really love Howl's Moving Castle. So I'm really excited to read this, to see what it's like, and to read the other books as well, because Howl's Moving Castle is one of my favourite Studio Ghibli films, and it wasn't until last year when I was rewatching the film that I realised that there was a book. So very much looking forward to this. Next up is this, I think, is classed as young adult fiction. This is called Part of Your World, and it is written by Liz Braswell, and from what I can gather, it is sort of an alternative take on what might have happened in the Little Mermaid's world. This book is set as if King Triton's life was taken, and Ariel is now the Queen of Atlantica, with Ursula being married to Eric on land. So some spoilers there if you haven't seen the Disney film. I quite like things like this. I've got a few books by Christina Henry which are takes on sort of classic tales. There's a couple of Alice in Wonderland ones. I think there is a Little Mermaid one. And I quite enjoy things like this, like I think Gregory Maguire's Wicked, that's along those sorts of lines, alternatives to the classic tales. So I am really looking forward to reading this. Yeah, very excited to be looking at this one, and I think there are other books as well. I'm just looking in the back of the book. Oh yeah, there are some others. So there's a Beauty and the Beast one, there's an Aladdin one, there is Sleeping Beauty, Mulan, and then there are also, looking in the back of the books, Villain's Tale. So these are classic stories retold by the villains. Poor Unfortunate Soul, how did the sea witch Ursula become so twisted and filled with hatred? So I think when I finish this, I might definitely look up some of these classic villain tales. Very excited. So next up is a book that I was obsessed with at school. We briefly did this book as part of our English courses when I was sort of around the GCSE time. And I can remember watching the original TV film that was Australian, and it was wonderful, and I became obsessed with it, and nobody else had ever heard of it, and for years I was convinced that I had made the entire thing up and it didn't exist at all. But then the Christmas before last, so 2017, I think, yeah, it was 2017, they remade this into a 6-part drama series, which was a little bit disappointing. But when I saw the book in Waterstones, I had to pick it up. So the book I'm talking about is Picnic at Hanging Rock. This is written by Joan Lindsay. It's set in Australia. I think it is an Australian book. And it's sort of the mysterious tale of some girls that go missing on a picnic one day, so I'm so excited to read Picnic at Hanging Rock, just to see if I am as obsessed with it as I was when I was a teenager. So next up is a book I've heard quite a lot about, and in fact when I picked it up in Waterstones, the guy on the till did say that it was a really good book, and he highly recommended it. I've seen lots of people talking about it, I've seen it on lots of Instagram posts, so I'm hoping it's going to be really good. This is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This is written by Stuart Turton. I think it's supposed to be sort of a thriller. I haven't really looked, to be honest with you, I haven't had the time. It's got lots of glowing reviews from Sophie Hannah, who is a writer that I love, Val McDermid, who writes lots of crime books. So I'm hoping this will be really good, and I'm a sucker for a fancy book, so the fact it has red pages really suckered me in, regardless of what the book's going to be like. So I'm quite looking forward to this. That's The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Next up is another TV show that I watched over Christmas. Again, I'm a little bit behind on the popular things, and because I'm quite a big wimp, I put off watching it, and I watched over the Christmas period with all the Christmas lights on in the daylight, and parts of it scared the absolute arse off of me. So obviously I decided to get the book. I love a scary book, and as much of a wuss as I am, I do love a scary book because I always have my backup, which is scary books go in the freezer. So when I saw this in Waterstones, I picked it up. I have a lot of her books, the author's books, on my wish list on Amazon at the moment. I would like to read them all. So the book I picked up, if you haven't already guessed, is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. So quite a long time ago, I read another book by Shirley Jackson called We Have Always Lived in the Castle. And it was such a good book. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I might sneak it into my to be read list because I enjoyed it so much that I would love to read it again. And after having watched The Haunting of Hill House on TV, I did add a number of her books to my wish list. When I was in Waterstones recently spending some gift vouchers, I did have a look, and this was the only one that they had. So I am hoping when I've got a bit more cash, when this never-ending January finishes, I'm hoping to be able to spend a little bit on some books and pick up a few more of her titles. I quite enjoyed the TV show. It was scary. I didn't really like the ending of the TV series, so I am interested to read the book to see what the ending of the book is like and if it matches, if it's the same. So that's The Haunting of Hill House, and as I said, very excited to read that. So next up is a book that I should have already read, really, for a book club that I am part of on See the Universe Online, which is a Facebook group and a Twitter page and a lovely blog, a lovely mental health blog run by a lovely lady called Amy. And I'll put a link to her website below, so be sure to check that out. And her and another girl who, I apologise, I cannot remember her name, have started a book club this year. So all of the books have already been released. So the list of books that they're going to do has been released, and this was the first one. Neil kindly bought this for me. It's called The Power. The blurb on the back says, all over the world, women are discovering they have the power. With a flick of the fingers, they can inflict terrible pain, even death. Suddenly, every man on the planet finds they've lost control. The day of the girls has arrived, but where will it end? So this is The Power by Naomi Alderman. This book is due for discussion on the 17th of January, so I really need to get a move on and read this. And it is my plan that when I finish the current Lemony Snicket book in the series, I will read this one so that I'm in time for the book club. I'm hoping it's going to be okay. I'm not really sure what to think. I'm not really sure if it's my kind of book. She pays tribute to Margaret Atwood in the back of the book, as well, and I did really enjoy The Handmaid's Tale, so maybe if she's been inspired by that sort of thing, it might be okay, I might enjoy it, but I will reserve judgment. So that's The Power, which as I mentioned, I should have already read. So I'm hoping to give this a read soon, and I might do a full review on the vlog about that one, so let me know if you'd like me to do that. So the last book on my current to be read list is a non-fiction book. As you know, if you've watched this channel before, if you follow me on Goodreads, I do love a good history non-fiction book. Lucy Worsley is one of my favourite non-fiction writers. I love her so much. I've just found out she's doing a new TV show soon, which I'm really excited about. This is a new book. We picked this up just before Christmas. Neil treated me to this one. And it is Lucy Worsley, Queen Victoria. So this is a history of Queen Victoria. Now there are lots of histories of Queen Victoria around, you know, take your pick. You could easily find anything out about Lucy Worsley, and I've never really been inclined to read anything about Queen Victoria because I'm much more into social history, medical history, industrial history, rather than the history of sort of the monarchy. But I love Lucy Worsley so much. I adore the way she writes. She's funny and she's engaging, so I picked this up and I'm very keen to give it a go. I usually throw a non-fiction in between lots of fiction books because non-fiction books can be a little bit tough going. So I'm not sure when I will get around to reading this one, but I will definitely be reviewing this. That's my fiction and non-fiction to be read list currently. I do have thousands of books downstairs that I haven't read yet that I want to reread, so I'm sure I will be doing a new to be read list very soon. Get in touch below if you've read any of these books or you'd like to read any of these books or any of them interest you. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any questions, drop me a line below. If you'd like me to review any of these books specifically, then get in touch. Don't forget you can follow me on Goodreads. My username is Estellosaurus. If you want to keep up to date with what I'm reading at the moment or how my reading challenge is going. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you soon.